Welcome to the Crockpot. I'm Julian Jackson. I'm here to bring you the latest in the sports news world. So it is a great smorgasbord today. We've got a lot going on. There's horse racing, which you just saw in Medina Spirit. 21 picograms found in a blood sample taken thereafter the race. What does this mean? Well, picograms are actually measured in milliliter. It's a form of a gram. It's a trillionth of a gram. A 1/1,000,000th of a gram. That is measured in milliliters. So in the blood of an animal the size of a horse, it is about 50,000 milliliters. The equivalent of 21 picograms being found inside of your blood is the equivalent to 3 grains of salt inside of an Olympic-sized pool. Why is this a big deal? If you don't know, Bob Baffert, the gentleman who you may or may not have seen if you watch the Derby, he kind of looks like Ric Flair, right? So, I mean, why is this guy? Why are people making this a big deal? What he referred to as cancel culture, it's something that he's been dealing with. This is the most successful trainer in all of horse racing. This guy is, I don't know, he's Tom Brady to QBs in the NFL. He's Michael Jordan to the basketball world. Or I guess, rather, let's go Bill Belichick, right? Because you're more of so the coach. You're the producer in the industry. You're the one who's able to take 200 thoroughbreds at babies and then be able to come out to make 3, 4, maybe 5 of them and then get them to be under 2 years old and have them race in such a great race, such as the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, he's been banned from Churchill Downs since. Medina Spirit, the number 8 horse, won that race. And he's won with many other horses, such as American Pharoah, in their past. Baffert, however, has had a lot of trouble since. He's had about 5 violations over the past year with giving some sort of drug. Now, when I'm talking about picograms of the drug, I don't know if I mentioned it. So what this was beta-methazone. What they had used was, I believe it was something called Oxfam, and this was to reduce the rash or fungus. So horses, when they race, they have a lot of fungi, and that could be in their buttocks, that could be on their legs. If you've been to the track ever before, I grew up right down the street from Beulah Park in Grove City, so I was used to going out watching thoroughbreds. There's nothing I love more. Have a couple of great friends right now, one working up at Thistledown Racetrack in Cleveland. Had an opportunity to speak with him just the other night. He declined a Zoom call as he was ready for bed, but I got to chat with him for just 5 to 10 minutes. And what he had to tell me was that all the hype surrounding this is only because Baffert is as good as he is. Obviously, these things are bet on. You cannot go ahead and, so the picograms they were measured because there's a steroid in this cream, in this Oxfam, and in the beta-methazone. So if you're using this to treat a fungus, why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because regulations say, and the horse regulations say, you should not be treating a horse with anything 14 days prior to a race, because that could stimulate them with something that could give them a competitive advantage. Now, if you're going to spray me with some antifungal to be able to get rid of a rash from my behind, that's the last thing I'm going to think about is going to give me a competitive advantage. If you're looking at an athlete, right, and they're like, oh man, I've got to use some stuff for some athlete's foot, and I can't use it 3 days before the competition because, man, it's going to give me a competitive advantage. It would sound ridiculous, wouldn't it? So why are we taking this any differently when you're talking about a horse that is near hundreds and hundreds of pounds? It's a 1,000-pound horse. I mean, it's a huge, it's a giant animal. You should not be making a big deal out of something like this. Why? But Bob Baffert, aka Ric Flair, he is a guy and he's making millions and millions of dollars off of this, and he's the guy who's just training the horses. He's not getting on the horse. He's not the jockey. He's not even the owner. But nonetheless, it is a big deal. Now, from what I have learned from my dear friend at Thistledown up in Cleveland, was that this kind of thing does happen more often than not. Now, you're talking about more so, put it in a scale that you can recognize or something that you can relate to. So, let's just say that you're in a competition. All right, so you have like your minor leagues, you got your major leagues, right? So like a AAA team, maybe some of that stuff won't be noticed. So my buddy is racing, and he's a jockey agent. I have one who's a jockey agent, one who's a trainer. They're training these horses day in and day out, and different things can happen. So you have something called a groom. This is someone who's going to then groom the animal, make sure they look good, right? If you're going to send a prize horse off to the Kentucky Derby, you want it to look its best. So, in doing that, you say, let's go ahead and throw some antifungal on this horse. And let's be sure that this horse looks the best that it can possibly look. So says reports that Baffert administered, or had physicians administer the drug with the betamethasone to the horse just days before the event. And that's why we have a problem here. Do I believe that that should be an issue? Really doesn't matter what I believe, because now Churchill Downs has suspended the greatest trainer of all time. Now I get it. You can only call wolf so many times before you actually get what's coming to you. But I don't feel as if, and from what I understand, I don't feel as if Baffert was in a position to get a competitive advantage. He's been winning with these horses for years and years. You think a little bit of betamethasone is what made Medina Spirit win? And on top of that, you may not care at all. But let me tell you this. When it comes to his horses, a lot of it has to do with the jockeys. And you may not watch a lot of horse racing, but in the clip that was shared with you, Medina Spirit was ahead of that 19 field. There were 19 horses in that field. He was ahead the entire time except for just a few links in that third turn. He had a great advantage the entire time. And if you would go back to watch it, you would then see that the 19 horse got out like a bat out of hell out of those gates and was running up there with Medina Spirit and couldn't hold on. And if you know horse racing, and anyone who does would be able to tell you that there's no way that that 19 horse was going to make it. But Medina Spirit coming out of the 8 gate, imagine coming out of the 4 in a race on a track. If you're a track and field athlete, you can relate it that way, right? You want to come out of the 4, you don't want to come out of the 8, especially if it's a 400, something like that. You get what I'm saying? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And I don't know who can relate to this, but I feel as if Bob Baffert's being wrong. Yeah, you're doing Ric Flair wrong, and you should let it go. Now, however, they're going to go ahead and do a secondary test, and in doing that, Medina Spirit already is slated to run on Saturday at the Preakness Stakes. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, and Bob Baffert himself is not going to get in the way of this. He's going to stay home this time around and not move forward with his horse. Now, will Medina Spirit end up winning the Triple Crown? Experts say no. But one thing I know for sure, if you're betting this event, the favorite only wins about a third of the time. So I'm no betting pro, but I thought that you should know. Moving forward into excellence with other events and stuff and things, something that is not so dear to me, but is near to me because, hell, I want this guy as a QB. Aaron freaking Rodgers. Get over here. We need him in Washington. I won't take it any other way. I don't know what we need to do, but I'm sure we can finagle a few things to be able to bring Aaron in and have him throw around a little lasso and go and tie up some people so we can go ahead and have a championship caliber team. Yeah, I said we. The Washington football team. That's who I'm rooting for. And my man Aaron Rodgers could be the answer for that. However, there are some people who do believe that he's damaging the team right now being in Green Bay by not making a decision. This guy's still under contract. What are you really going to do? Aaron Rodgers, obviously he's got years left, but eventually we're going to beat this story like a dead horse. So I don't want to focus on it too much, but what I'm going to say is you have people who are now coming forward like Davante Adams. Davante Adams is in a position right now where, you know, he's not going to pull a Terrell Owens, so I hope. Please don't pull the TO with the Romo and the... I wish I had the clip for that. He's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. You better knock it off. Davante Adams, do not go there. Don't get all emotional for me right now. You know Aaron Rodgers is your best shot at winning, and I'll tell you who's not your best shot at winning. The guy you just picked up. Nameless. I'm sorry. I can't even. You might as well just go with Jordan Love. All right? You sign anyone else, and they're not going to be able to do the receiving core they have out there justice. What do you think Aaron Jones is going to do in that backfield without Aaron Rodgers being able to do some stuff? He's going to get tore up. He's going to get swallowed up every time. And I know I have Green Bay fans listening right now, and sorry, I'm not sorry. You need Aaron Rodgers up there. But you could probably finagle and finesse a few things. If you want to go ahead and have Washington throw you a little Taylor Heineke, you know, we could shuffle past you a little Heineke. We could probably go ahead and give you a little Fitz magic, you know, poof. If you want him to go on out there, might be able to part ways with one or two defenders. We did just get a rookie linebacker. That might be able to work for you. Throw that into the mix with a pair of quarterbacks, and I think Aaron Rodgers well on his way. We'll take the rest of the contract, not a problem. But I see that possibly he could end up going to Denver. Well, is that going to make or break Denver? I couldn't tell you, because Denver hasn't been relevant for seasons and seasons. They were 5-11 last year and last in their division. I cannot see Aaron Rodgers being a make or break type guy. And as I'm watching and I'm listening to all the guys or all of the quarterbacks rather at this time that could actually end up making an impact, Aaron Rodgers going to any team right now, it would be a process. It would have to take, it wouldn't just be this season. This is not a Tom Brady transition. Aaron Rodgers is going to have to do everything he can do and work hand over foot each and every day to be able to make it back to even close to the caliber where he was in 2011 and the cohesion that they had with the Green Bay Packers. Not to mention, that was with McCarthy and not with the guy they have right now and McFlurry. So, all I have to say is that, so I guess it is LaFleur. I'm getting word right now, it's LaFleur. So regardless, I'm just saying, you're irrelevant up there in Green Bay. So let's go ahead and take a look into some other possible destinations where he might go. So Denver's one of them. Heck, I know you know what, easier than to be discussed, where he won't go, right? Could count several teams right now where he won't go. There's over 20 teams that could use Aaron Rodgers, but I'll tell you who wouldn't need him. Okay? Tampa Bay. Right? That goes without saying. Kansas City Chiefs. That goes without saying. They just got a big contract there at Dallas and Dak Prescott. That goes without saying. So, does it go without saying, though? For all the Dallas Cowgirl fans, please comment, like, subscribe, thumbs down, do what you have to do. But tell me, would you trade for Aaron Rodgers in this situation? Having just signed Dak Prescott to now where he's making $55 million next year, I can tell you that would be a bad idea. Well, Dak and Green Bay, you know what? You tell me. I don't need to tell you. So Dallas, he won't go. Kansas City won't go. Tampa Bay won't go. couldn't see him going to, I'd say he'd be a great fit in New Orleans. I say that would be great. I know I was saying where he couldn't go, but New Orleans just popped up in my head. That could be a place where he could go. I couldn't necessarily see him going to San Francisco, but if he was offered to San Fran, they did try to capture him during the draft in a package. Were unable to do so. And I'm sorry to get off topic, but if you've watched before, you realize that I can't keep my stuff together. So my mind is just boom, 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 boom. And I'm telling you right now, San Fran would be able to make a play and make a way. And I just don't get, I still, to this day, do not get the Trey Lance. I don't understand the whole Trey Lance situation. He's definitely not going to go anywhere inside of his division up there in the NFC North. That's not going to happen. The Bears already got Justin Fields, and they have the Red Rocket, which is quite disgusting, really, if you ask me, to even have Andy Dalton be in the presence of Justin Fields, but I don't know. We'll see. So I don't know where this is going or where it came from, and I'm sorry I went off on a tangent, but I have to tell you, that Cowboy Aaron Rodgers is my favorite Aaron Rodgers. So whether or not he said he wanted to move down to Texas and go yeehaw and go ahead and saddle up on a horse and throw a lasso around a pig, I would still appreciate the champ. Now, I know we do have to go and pay some bills, so we're going to send it to break. But before I do, I want to send some foresight into what you're going to be looking at next. Stay tuned for some talk with the rebranding of the Crew SC. Also, this thing about load management. I have a lot to say about load management, and I'm going to blow my lid. So, before that happens, let's go ahead and take a brief break. You're watching the Crockpot on Score on Air.
Have you always dreamed about a career in sports broadcasting but aren't sure where to begin? Well, if so, then look no further than the Sports Emphasis program at the Ohio Media School. Whether in front of the camera, on the microphone, or behind the scenes, you'll learn from a pro to be a pro in the Sports Emphasis program at the Ohio Media School. You'll get hands-on training and live in-the-field experience at some of Ohio's biggest sporting events. You'll be the star of your very own webcast, and you'll get the opportunity to interview some of Ohio's biggest athletes. Call us today at 614-655-5250 or visit our website at beonair.com.
In sports, you want to have a player that can get the job done right every time. A real all-star, somebody that's dependable and you can turn to when the game is tough. That player in the audio-video industry is the theater. From setting up your home's Wi-Fi network and offices, conference rooms, to setting up home theater inside or outside, to setting up the systems to make your home run smarter and safer as well. The theater people can do it all with the quality of professionalism you can expect every single time. That isn't just a great all-around player, that is an all-star. That is why we are the leaders in audiovisual installation in Central Ohio. So call us at 614-604-6327 or check out our website at ttpcolumbus.com to figure out which products will fit you. And don't forget, amplify your personality with the theater.
Do you have design ideas for t-shirts but you're not sure where to go? Go to Mojo Sports Gear. That's right, Mojo Sports Gear. At Mojo Sports Gear, you can get custom-made shirts. Whatever design you need, Mojo Sports Gear can provide it. Don't forget to grab a custom-made cap on your way out and rock the best headgear in the game. Give them a call at 614-864-6656. That's 614-864-6656.
Terrible news in the sports world came upon us this past week. Staring into the face of addiction and a long road ahead was sought out for Colt Brennan. The quarterback from Hawaii who broke many, many records years ago, the 37-year-old passed away after he was found unconscious in a hotel room, and what his father reported as ingesting something that was laced with fentanyl. I remember when Colt Brennan was just terrific. And heck, 20 years ago, or just about, I was in high school and watching what he was doing, because you think about Hawaii, and as a football team, you never truly thought that it would end up, you would never think about this in a million years. You know, you'd never think about Hawaii being a good football program. You would rarely ever think about Hawaii having such a great quarterback. And they had a great system, and just everything, the way that it came together was just immaculate. And I recall having watched him, and they had televised games. That was the reason why you watched for Colt Brennan, because this kid was a freak. He had a lot of great athletes and things around him too. Like I said, a great system. But it was upsetting to hear about something like this. Now, what we know at this time is that he was in a hotel room, but even more compelling for me was the fact that hours prior to him being found unconscious, before he had made a decision to ingest or take whatever it was that he took, he attempted to go into a hospital for a detox and rehabilitation program. He had been in some programs in the past. They did a lot of physical activity. He was in there with veterans, members of the war in Afghanistan, veterans who came back from Iraq, things like that. They had a lot to relate to. Heck, I didn't realize how old Colt Brennan really was. And looking at that, regardless of the age, seeing someone who you looked at and marveled at for a long time, it's just very, very sad. Now, he attempted to go into the hospital, and they didn't have any beds available. So obviously he was feeling bad. So that was one of those times when you realize that you've got a decision to make. There's something that you can do, and you go out for it, and you do your very best, and then all of a sudden you give up. And that's all you had. You had just that one effort. He took a Hail Mary at the hospital, and he came up short. So what did he do? Down a deep, dark path, found himself with others in a hotel room, and now he's no longer. Sad words of his father, published in an article on The Spin. I couldn't imagine, regardless of the age of the individual, having someone, myself, relating to a story of the same, having people in family or knowing friends who fought with addictions, mental health instabilities and issues. This is near and dear, and this one hurts. And this is why I had to bring this to light. It's sad when you know that you need help and you go out and do everything you can to get the help. You're on, you're off, you're on, you're off, and you're still surviving. And then that one last straw was the one that broke the camel's back. And I can't imagine what his father is going through at this time. I do believe that it was a moment when, I can't imagine. So our hearts and everyone else in the sports world go out to the Brennan family, and wish everyone the best for things forthcoming. But there should be more news on that out and about. So move on and into some lighter news. Russell Westbrook now has the crown for the triple-double. And wow, what an incredible feat that was. To be able to watch Russell Westbrook, he's someone who I love to hate. Because, and it's a fun love to hate, right? It's not like, man, Russell Westbrook, man, you just make me so mad. No, the dude's freaking incredible. He is incredible. He's looked up to by so many friends of mine who are ballers, and I don't know if you can tell just by looking at me, but come on, no. Yeah, I'm not a baller, right? I played center in high school. I was a football player. Heck, I was scared to wrestle. I threw shot put and discus. That was about it, all right? Had dreams of throwing the football, but that never happened, right? You can't be the pretty boy. You can't do everything on the team. You can't be like our producer. Not everybody can be the pretty boys champ. Am I right? So, Russell Westbrook goes on out and hits the 182nd game with a triple-double. He now has 192 triple-doubles in his career in total, 182 of which come in the regular season. It's absolutely outstanding. He passed Oscar Robertson and was tied with him earlier on this week at 181 triple-doubles. I'll tell you, I can't see anyone else that could do something like that. No, what I'm struggling to understand, and perhaps someone can help me here. The kid's a winner. I don't think anyone can doubt the kid's a winner. What was it that led people astray from him? James Harden was the first one to leave in Oklahoma City. Then thereafter, Kevin Durant went to go join a super team. And Russ remained steadfast in his effort. Russ stuck around to see the test of time. Russ was the one who stayed and remained loyal to the Thunder. Meanwhile, KD's out celebrating, throwing up banners. Oh, banners. That reminds me of something, but we're going to get to that later. So KD's out there, joins the super team, gets himself a championship. Homeboy James Harden, now he's got the whole beard thing going on. He's a player for himself, didn't want to play off the bench, didn't want to be a guy. We know James Harden's a guy, right? We know he's a guy. He might be the guy. He's arguably the guy. And stay tuned for the Prolific Sports Podcast here afterward to hear more about NBA news. But I would like to be able to bring in our producer to give a small tidbit. I just want to ask right now, what it is that we have to say, or you have to say, pretty boy, when it comes to Russell Westbrook, and what it is that you have to say, is James Harden the guy, or is he just a guy? And when I talk about a guy, I'm talking like bar none, top 5. Did Barkley say that he's the best player in the world? I have just so much to say. Someone help me out. Pretty boy, is there anything at all?
Look, man, first of all, Westbrook is a great player. I don't want to overrate him and call him the greatest. He doesn't have any rings. I would say partly to blame is because, a guy like KD and a dude like Harden, they just soft. I just don't imagine that they are going to get this title this year either. For real, Chris Paul is a really, really good player. They had a really good run in Houston. They had a real good opportunity to win the title there. And I just felt like James Harden let them down run after run. Game 7s, Game 6, where he just didn't show up. So I can never argue that James Harden is the man. I really like Westbrook's game. Him and LeBron, they got like the same exact game, similar. But LeBron understood that in order to win with that type of style, you got to play with shooters and great players. And I just don't think Westbrook played with enough shooters in his career.
And while he may not, be that as it may, with the Wizards, the way they have it going on, Bradley Beal, all the rest of them, I am very appreciative of just being around to witness something like this. I am bear witness to what Russell Westbrook is doing, and I can at least appreciate that. Now, the Wizards are still, at this point, fighting for a playoff spot. They're fighting for a play-in, and does it really hold? Is it that big of a deal? Yeah, it's a big deal. I don't know if Russ is ever going to get a championship, and you can be that guy. I wasn't alive in the 60s and all the rest of that, too. And you might be able to shed some light on that. But, Oscar Robertson, the rest of these guys are playing on some incredible teams back in the day. Rings would seem like they were a dime a dozen. Russ is seemingly so far from a ring, and perhaps his teammates in that original Big Three were at a point where they were able, that was their best shot at it when they're in Oklahoma. And I don't believe they had all the pieces of the pie to be able to make that great team. That's when Harden was like, I'm out. Then KD, boom. And I believe Russ actually stuck around too long down there in Oklahoma. So, to me, I'm very appreciative of what it is that Oklahoma has going on, or that Russ has going on. And I just feel as if, that he could actually make leaps and bounds, but it's not going to be with that team. And I heard you mention Chris Paul, and I just lightly want to go back and touch on that. Chris Paul and Phoenix are about to hit the number one spot. You know what? Before I go on a tangent, I'm going to go ahead and keep moving because I know we're going to hear more about this stuff on the Prolific Sports Podcast. So I'm not going to beat that dead horse right now, and we're going to go ahead and keep it rolling, keep it fresh, keep everything nice and smooth, keep it rolling, turn the Crockpot up just a tad because we're getting there, and it's about to get hot. LeBron James. Call him what you want. Call him LBJ. Call him Bron. Call him Bronny. No, I don't call him Bronny. So, for me right now, LeBron James is in a position where that ankle's hurt. And, the ankle's hurt and everything's good. Is it? Well, let's see. So, what we know right now about LeBron is that he's in a great position where he can play, he can decide whether or not he wants to play, right? Do I think he's cowering away from the game? No. And don't go there. Do not be that person who all of a sudden is thinking that, I can, LeBron, he just wants to sit out and play and do this and do that. Name one time when LeBron has ever just said, oh, no, I don't want to play today. Now, I recall, and sometimes being a fan is just like that. And if you're upset about it, and I feel as if I keep on getting ahead of myself, but we're going to circle back around, and believe you me, we're going to. As a fan, if you're upset by players having to sit out, at certain times or whatever, especially LeBron. A couple years ago, went up to Detroit. It was right around my birthday. It was in March. It was cold still. But we knew that LeBron was first year with the Lakers. He's coming into town. So me and all the boys, 5 months prior, got tickets early, booked the hotels, everything early. He played in a game on Tuesday. This game was on a Saturday. He played another game, I think, Thursday. All of a sudden, he's off on Saturday. And I'm like, and we're on our way up 23, making our way to Detroit. Stopped at Chipotle, and then we get the alert on our phone. LeBron James out for rest. So, what are we going to do? We're going to StubHub these tickets now. We have a whole hotel. So, yeah, we went up to Little Caesars Palace, whatever, the places up there. Beautiful arena that they had built. And I got to watch Blake Griffin stumble around the court for a little bit. And I got to see LeBron James in distance, in a suit, in a very nice Armani suit on the bench. And those things happen, right? But at the end of the day, the takeaway is I still got to spend time with my homies, and we went up there and had a great one. We went to Greektown. We partied on a rooftop. And also, I don't know, but Detroit, there's some sports towns that I know are pretty rude. And this is just a nice aside because, like I said, I can't stay in one place. So, Ohio State, if you're a Michigan fan and you're just walking around, I'm sure you're not safe. Right? You're probably not safe, especially if it's Michigan versus Ohio State. You're probably not safe. So, with that said, we had gone up to Greektown, and we're looking for a little, it's a bunch of mom and pop restaurants. We're like, let's go stop in here. Let's grab some pizza and stuff before the game. And we're walking in, and I don't have Lakers gear because I'm not a Lakers fan. I support LeBron. And I support LeBron. Wherever he went, when he was in Miami, I supported him when he was in Miami, support him in Cleveland. Been watching him since he was, 18-year-old kid with the Hummer out of St. Vincent St. Mary's in Akron. So we walk in there, and the first thing this host says, and I might have took it a little bit differently if it was a female, but it was a male, and he was right around my age, and he looked at us, and my boys are all wearing Lakers stuff, and I'm just wearing a purple Express shirt, and it even says Express right here. And this guy looks at us and goes, yeah, we can't serve you. I was flabbergasted. I said, huh? He's like, yeah, we can't serve you. I turned around, I just looked at the homies like, and then they looked at me crazy, and I looked back, and then the dude says, just kidding. But I'm like, whoa, I thought it was about to go down in Detroit for my very first time. Stuff could have got really, really wacky. Before we go ahead and take a break, I want to go ahead and let you know to stick around for the load management conversation plus more from the crew. SC, You're watching the Crockpot on Score on Air. Welcome back to the Crockpot. So, to sum that up, I do believe that LeBron James is going to be in a position where his team still will win the playoffs, or will make it in the playoffs. Shouldn't have to go to a play-in game. Now, this whole load management stuff is driving me nuts. So, I guess there were some things said and some people were a little bit sideways by the fact that LeBron James just went out and let everyone know, set expectations, if you will, and said, hey, guys, I'm getting close. However, I won't be playing tonight. More importantly, I will be in the building to watch the championship banner raise tonight. And looking forward for bigger things soon. Well, I mean, that's great, right? And as I said, I am a supporter of LeBron James. I feel as if, if you're hurt, there's no need for you to have to come back earlier. And we know for a fact that he's hurt. When I went to Detroit to see him, he wasn't hurt. And some people, they've hurt their buttocks, and they've hurt their minds. I don't know what it is or why anyone would feel compelled to talk smack about or even mention that I'm burning up right now because Mike Greenberg all of a sudden had a rant. And if you didn't hear it earlier on, I'm sorry I'm not providing the audio clip for you. But he's talking about how this is preposterous. And LeBron is focused more on raising the championship banner than he is with playing. And if I'm this and I'm that, and I'd be outraged. Well, guess what, Michael Greenberg? I used to really like you, but now I'm going to let you have it. All right? I thought Golick before was the problem, but now I can clearly see that it's you. Greeny and the rest of the shows that you have, I like to get up for a little while, and now I just want to get down with it. All right? This is ridiculous. Obviously, you're not an athlete, because if you knew, you'd know that raising championship banners is more important than playing in a game on an ankle that's jacked up. Goodness gracious, man, Look, let me come back to focus. It doesn't mean that he's saying, now the way that the tweet is written, the way that you can see it, it clearly says that more importantly, right? So if he would have emphasized, I'll be back soon, or had he not said more, if he just would have omitted more importantly, maybe something like, if a publicist would have just said, hey, how about you say something like, but these aren't things we think about, right? Hindsight's 20/20. So if you were to say something like, I'm not ready to go yet, but tonight I'll be in the building to watch the banner raise for our championship from last season, and I look forward to being back soon. Great tweet, right? Always making something out of nothing, right? But the emphasis in that tweet, with it being all capital, is that it's a championship. And if you're more worried about the regular season than you are a championship, if you're worried about the playoffs, and I was listening to Adam Hahn, I believe, Adam, he's filling in for Zubin on KJZ, on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. And I don't know, and I mentioned this to you earlier on. I'm going to go to my producer right now. Did you hear, how do you feel about load management before I blow the top off this crock pot?
Well, I just got to say that I'm not a fan of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the era where no blood, no foul. So load management just sounds just crazy to me. You got 82 games. If you can play in 82 games, you should be playing in 82 games. Like, it's just hard to just really, really wrap my head around it when this started. Like, and when it started, it just seemed like it was rampant. You would have a game on a Saturday night, and you want to put load management, your stars on a Saturday night, but play them in the middle of the week on a Wednesday when I got to sleep and I can't even watch them. Then I get to the weekend, then I get to watch all the backups play.
Now, but listen to this. But how about this? And they were getting real heated on KJZ earlier, and I felt as if Adam Hahn, I believe that's his name, shucks, he's the dude who's filling in right now, and he just needs to stick to radio because he's out of his element. He said that it's as a fan that you'd be upset because you're paying all this money, and they had a couple people call in, and I get that, but this is not load management for LeBron, is it?
He hurt. This is a high ankle sprain, and if you've ever had a high ankle sprain, it's almost, I've had one, so it's almost worse than breaking your ankle because you have all these stretched ligaments that have to re-heal themselves and get their elasticity back. So what happens is that you stretch those ligaments and tendons so far they're not able to get back. That's what a sprain does. So he has a really severe sprain. I honestly, it took me 6 months. I would have rather have broken it and started to the healing process. That sprain is a very, very tweaky thing to get around, and it only takes one false step, one bad plant, and it's sprained all over again. A lot, as you see, AD just keeps rolling that ankle constantly. So
Exactly. And so that's an issue. So you cannot bring someone back. And to say that about LeBron, and Greeny had even made the comment that he hates say it about LeBron because LeBron typically isn't in these type of situations. So why bring it to the table now? How can you not see both sides of it? If you like LeBron, you cover LeBron, you do these things. I'm shocked to be able to hear that out of Mike Greenberg at this time, when you know what this has been. LeBron is used to playing the entire season. You know, you would actually have to stop him and say, like it was when I was in Detroit for that game a couple years ago. You'd have to be like, yo, we got to slow you down. This man spends millions of dollars on his body every year to be in recovery. This is what he does. He's the reason why these teams are as successful as they are. And meanwhile, while he is getting older, he's still doing everything that he can. Why is this any different? I can't wrap my head around the fact that I think there are too many people who are upset about the fact that he's just not playing, and you go to see someone play. And my thing is, if you really prefer to see someone play, then just get the NBA TV package at home and save the extra money from going to the game so you're not disappointed.
Well, he's not playing anyway. This is not a typical LeBron James year. He has rolled an ankle. He has missed 20-plus games. We are not used to seeing him. Last time we seen him do something like that, he maybe missed, 8 games or something with a hamstring like 3-4 years ago, his first year with the Lakers. But other than that, we're not used to seeing him miss extended period of time. But he's older now, and that was a really bad ankle roll. So if he's not 100% healthy, then they have no chance to win the title. Now, I don't believe that he's just sitting out so they can have to play in the play-in series with Golden State when Steph Curry's like the hottest player in the league right now. So I don't really think he wants to do that. But if you can't avoid that, then you got to do what you got to do. So
right. Okay. Well, I mean, that's one thing, and it started to spread over. It started to pour over to the NFL. So NBA, that's one thing. Is load management going to be a problem in this coming season now, where if you do the math, they will be involved in up to, if you go all the way to the Super Bowl, you could and be involved in up to 24 games with 3 preseason games, 4 playoff games, and then a whole 17 games during the regular season.
Well, no, because, and here's the reason why. There's 17 games in the NFL. Each game counts. Like there is no 1 week where it doesn't count. Like, you take a bad loss and that could haunt you for the rest of the year. So no, and then guys have this. It's a different mentality in football too. Like, if you miss time, you could lose your job. Like, a guy like LeBron or Harden or some of these basketball players, you could take time off and you're not going to lose your job. You go back, you'll be the starter. That's not the case in the league. You can be replaced. If you're that $100 million dude and this backup that's making $500,000 comes in and outperforms you, they're getting rid of you. So load management will never, ever be a thing in the NFL because it is too many players and it's too easy to lose your spot.
Also, you can see there that they play 1 game a week versus playing 3-4 games a week plus travel. It was brought up earlier on this morning on KJZ that, when Popovich was doing the load management thing, and there was a fan who had called in and said they went to go see a Spurs game, and when they got down there, that it was, Ginobili, Duncan, and Kawhi were all resting, and that Popovich used to fly them on Southwest Airlines and all the rest of that to be able to justify him resting guys at times, and he kind of spurred that whole notion that our guys need more time off, and I don't know what the answer for that is, but my whole point is that attacking LeBron or the whole thing to spur this controversy over a tweet that he mentioned that it is important. Every game is really important, but you don't pay attention to nearly as many games in the regular season of basketball or any other sport with a lot of games. You don't pay near as much attention to regular season, do you?
Not at all. Not at all. All right, 82 games. You're lucky if you're a really, really fan and got the time that you catch 50. Like, I'm lucky to if I really sat down to catch 50 games and that's just clearing out time to watch them. I'm still going to miss 32 games because life happens and you play 82 games. So, yeah.
There's much to go around, and I appreciate your input there on the load management stuff, and there wasn't, too much. I don't feel as if it's an issue. I don't feel as if it's going to continue to be an issue, but that just had me so hot this morning. I went and I wrote this sucker up, and I said, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. You watch your mouth, Greeny. You watch your mouth. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to something that's local, very important, and we got to go ahead. We're going to keep it rolling. So the Crew SC, or those who we know them to be, are no longer. The crest, while may not have been everyone's favorite, is still at a point, I spoke with some individuals and some people who are in the supporters section for daggone near every game. Individuals who have been with the Crew since they were kids, and I'm not a big soccer guy, but the reason why this is so near and dear to me, not just because it's local, but because they've just built a new stadium. I was here and I was going to games a couple years ago when we were doing the whole, save the Crew. I was a part of that effort. I band together with the other individuals in this city of Columbus to be able to save the Crew. And what happened? We saved the Crew. The banners and the flags and everyone flying high on their porches. There's Columbus Crew stuff everywhere. And none had I ever really seen that ever just said Crew SC or Columbus SC. And perhaps I'm just not involved in much of it. But what I will tell you right now is that these people are outraged. I will note, it is never, we've been here before with the E.J. Liddell. It's never okay to threaten people. Never okay to threaten people. Never okay to threaten people in a front office working for an organization. Never okay to threaten people via Twitter or with families of people in the front office or whatever. When this image leaked, there were a lot of fans and a lot of people who were very upset with what was going on, and it's okay to be upset, and it's okay to have feelings about this, but from what I understand is that the Crew is not any longer going to be recognized nationally. They're not ever going to be writing Crew on stuff. The Crew, much like me and my friends, the Crew is what makes you unique. The Crew is what sets you aside from everyone else. The Crew is what bands together to go out to win, to go out to do many great things. And for some reason, and I don't know what it is, I can't figure it out. I can't wrap my head around it. But you build a new stadium, and is this just a money-getting scheme? Did they decide that all of a sudden that we made it out of the place that does the, what's that thing called? They do the big rock concerts out there at the Crew Stadium, you know? It's, you know, and I'm missing it. But did you all of a sudden decide that now that you are going to end up moving into a newer stadium, that now you're going to go ahead and change up the brand just to be able to create more money for you? It makes sense on a business side of it, but it's a huge slap in the face to all the supporters who you have out there. I remember going down and being in the cold and hanging out with Land Grant, hanging out with Columbus Brewing Company and North High Brewing down there and freezing out there outside of Crew Stadium, tailgating, drinking as much as I could to stay warm when I could, and in hopes of being able to end up having a good time and to save the Crew. And then this is what they get. One person had said, this is disrespect after the save of the Crew and the efforts over the past few years. And they're opening up that stadium on July 3rd. So they didn't open the stadium first and then rebrand. They rebranded, and now they're going to open the new stadium. So it's already done, right? The stadium was already going to be finished. It is what it is, but it didn't have to be. Some individuals felt as if it was shameful that they weren't put in on it. You know, the supporters, there weren't enough people who were able to give their side of it and say, you know, just consideration over what the new image would be. What the new, you know, crest might be. You know, what was it? And the Nordic Tifo designer resigned. So this is the person who puts, and I didn't know what this was, I was educated earlier. You learn something new every day. In the large sections, the large banners, the canvas type things that are painted on, this person would go there and design all of these. After this, the Nordeca, I believe it's called the Nordeca, it's from what I understand. That's how you pronounce it. The Tifo designer and the Nordeca resigned after this new logo came out. And it's unfortunate. I don't believe that you're going to end up seeing people, and crew members, crew faithful, don't let down and don't die now. You can have change if you do what it is you need to do, but don't stop supporting, because now you're in a position where you're dead in the water because you did all this work to go and save the Crew. Now they're here, you have your new stadium, and the last thing you'd want to do is for them to move to another city. So don't let that happen. One last thing. It was one of the most appreciated crests in the MLS. It's about taking Crew out of the name. This is a very generic C, like the Clippers, Cleveland, Chicago, and not being a part of the process is very upsetting. That I got from one great Crew faithful. Now, I don't want to deprive you of any great news, so I'm going to go ahead and send it on over to Crockpot. Pretty Boys champ. Join me for this, as my first Crockpot is Lakers play-in. Will they get into a play-in game, or will they have a playoff spot?
My apologies right now. They're gonna play in. They're gonna play in. You can't help it but to land there. You lost that tiebreaker with Portland, even though they lost last night to Phoenix. It's just going to be hard for them. I think they'll be playing in. They'll play Golden State. They'll beat them. And sorry for Phoenix. They'll be out.
Well, and I also believe that they're going to have to play in, but I don't believe that's a bad thing at this time. Anything can happen in the West. That's what Chris Paul had said with Phoenix. And Phoenix right now is battling up there with the Jazz to see if they're going to be the number one. So I believe they will play in. I'm going to crock that. So Medina Spirit, the horse who just won the Kentucky Derby. It's very hard to win a whole Triple Crown. You'd have to win the Preakness and then win the Belmonts thereafter. Will this horse, Pretty Boy, I don't know how much you watch horse racing. I know you heard me talk a lot of smack about it, but just imagine being someone who's running on the track and you run a race and you keep winning. Is this horse going to be like an Usain Bolt? Is Medina Spirit going to win this weekend?
Is this horse on steroids?
apparently is what the test
Yes,
results
then.
say.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay. Hey, we're gonna throw it in the crock pot. I, however, am going to sit that. I'm going to sit it because that horse ran so hard, and I know how hard that horse ran from what I've heard from my resources, both in Louisville, Kentucky, and in Cleveland right now, are telling me that that horse ran so hard. But if the steroids, if it tests again, I don't believe he'll be able to race in this one. But let's say they don't find him. Maybe they spray some more antifungal on him. And he gets right in there. Winner of the Preakness. Let's go. Tim Tebow. I didn't talk about it. You're going to hear more about it on our next show. Is Tim Tebow going to make the team? Pretty boy. Croc or sit?
Yes. Crockett.
Woo! I'm going to sit it. I'm going to sit it, and I can't wait to hear more about it on Prolific Sports. Jake Paul, going to get knocked out by Floyd Mayweather when the fight comes around.
Crocking it.
Crockett?
Yes.
I want it to happen so bad, and he's not Ben Askren. This is one of the, I'm crocking it as well. He's one of the, he's the GOAT in fighters, right? He's never lost. And there's going to be something when Jake Paul overexerts himself. He's not going to be able to go 10 rounds with this man. He's going to overexert himself at some point, and Floyd is going to hit him with a nice little left. You see the way he stole that man's hat? You know what? That's all the time that we have for you today. But we appreciate you coming on out and taking a little test of the crock pot. And that's what you're watching right here on Score on Air.